Hello everyone and welcome to another Shrewsbury Town in the Community live maths lesson with me, Mr. Brown. Hope you're all safe and keeping well at home and staying busy. So today we're moving on from last week's lesson where we looked at some subtraction and we're going to be doing some multiplication and also looking at some factors today. Joining us, we've got a special guest. We've got Evie, who's been doing lots of maths with us, so she'll be amazing at her maths by now. Thumbs up, Evie, you okay?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Okay, so if we move on to the first slide, we'll look at some learning objectives for today. So we're looking at multiplication and factors. And our learning objective, we're going to be able to recognise and calculate multiples of factors, okay? And we'll come on to what factors are a little bit later. So for this, you will need a pen or a pencil. You'll need some pieces of paper, 12 pieces of paper, and the numbers 1 to 12 written on those, one number on each piece of paper, okay? You'll also need something soft like a beanbag or a sock or something that you can throw. Okay, before we move on to our first activity, we'll do a little warm up. So we've got a Super Movers video that's going to be looking at our 3s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 12s. There's also some gaps in there, so if you've got a partner at home, they can shout out some numbers in the gaps for you to do a little bit of working out as well. If you haven't got a partner, just join in with the moves and count up as we go. Okay, let's have a look at our warm-up video.
Okay, Super Movers, it's time for the Mash-Up March. And a warning, teachers, you're going to have to ask some questions. Let's go. Mash up, quick march. Mash up, let's keep going. Mash up, quality. Now we're going to do the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Now over to you to fill in the gaps. Here we go. 3 times equals. Did you get it right? 7 times equals. This is awesome work. 9 times equals. You're smashing this, guys. 11 times equals. That's really good. Now we're going to do the multiples of 7. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70, 77, 84. I'm loving this. Multiples of 12 next. Let's go. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96, 108, 120, 132, 144. Now back to you for more questions. 5 times equals. Did you get it right? 6 times equals. We can do this together. 8 times equals. Now that was a tricky one. 12 times equals. Unbelievable techers. Now we're going to do the multiples of 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, 96. Awesome. Multiples of 6 next. Let's go. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60, 66, 72. That's brilliant. And that's the Mash-Up March. Mash up, quick march. Mash up, awesome work. Mash up. That's it. Mash up. Mash up, quick march. Mash up. You've got it. Mash up. Stand down.
Okay, well done, Evie. And hopefully if you joined in at home, that's got your brain and your body nice and warm, ready for our first game. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide to look at activity 1, we've got our first game that is called Times Tables Targets. Okay, so for this activity, you will need the item that you're going to throw, your beanbag or anything soft. And then you need to set your pieces of paper up on the floor with a small gap between each of them. So I've got mine set up behind me. Okay, how to play. Once you've got your pieces of paper with your numbers 1 to 12 on each, you're going to mix them up, spread them out on the floor. Okay, and if we move on to the next slide. So you're going to throw your beanbag or your item and aim at the pieces of paper. If you land your beanbag on one of the items, collect it and bring it back, and then have another go. And when you've got 2 numbers that you've managed to land your beanbag on, those are your 2 numbers that you're going to times together. Okay, so me and Evie will have a go now. Okay, play till you've collected 2, Evie. Okay, ready? Off we go. Well, there we go. So I've got my first number. Oh, I've got my second number. Okay, Evie, have you got 2 numbers?
Yeah.
What 2 numbers have you got?
9 and 8.
9 and 8. Okay, so we're looking at our 9s or our 8s. So quite a tricky one. My 2 numbers are 9 and 10. So I'm going to times those together to give my score of 90. Evie, what was your total score then? So you've got 9 times 8.
72.
Fantastic. What way did you work those out?
So I got 8.
Yeah.
And then I grouped it by 10. And then I took away 10. 8.
Took away the 8. Fantastic. Yeah. So you know that 8 times 10 is 80, and then take away an 8 to give you 72 is 9. Fantastic. Okay. Mix up your numbers again, and we'll play again, and we'll get some new numbers this time. Okay, off we go. Play until we've collected 2. Oh, there's one. And there's another. How are we getting on, Evie? Have you got 2?
Yeah.
Fantastic. What are they? What are your 2 numbers?
8 and 10.
8 and 10. Okay, really good. Mine is 4 and 3, so I'm going to times those together to make 12. What's your total score, Evie, for this round?
80.
80. Well done. So that one's quite a nice one with your 10 times table. Okay, we'll play one more round as a little practice. See what numbers we get. Off we go. Oh, I missed. 4 again. Okay, so this time I've got 11 and 4, so I'm going to times those together to get 44. Evie, what have you got this time for your score?
11 and 2.
11 and 2, so we've both got the 11 times table, but you could also do it by looking at the 2 times table. So what's your total score?
22.
22. So if you're not good at your 11s, you could do it with your 2s and count up to 10 and then 1 extra, okay? So if we move on to the next slide, we'll have a look at making this game a bit of a challenge. Okay, so this time we're going to play against each other, Evie, okay? Now, when we played last week, you beat me in all the games, so hopefully I'll win this one. So this time, once you hit 2 numbers, you're going to collect them, times them together like we've just been doing. And once you've done that, they're out of the game then, okay? So if I've got 4 and 11 this time, I times them together. When I shout out my answer, 44, they're out of the game. And we're going to try and keep going until we've collected all 12 of our pieces of paper, okay? When you've finished, you can shout stop and we'll see who's finished first, okay? And remember, don't move on to the next go until you've worked out the answer of your 2 numbers, okay?
Okay.
Okay, right, ready? Off we go. So first number is 1. So my first 2 numbers, 1 and 11. So that's 11. So my next 2 numbers, 9 and 6. So I've got 54. Next 2 numbers I've got 8 and 10, 80. Oh, missed. Next 2 numbers I've got 4 and 3, 12. Oh, missed. Oh, and again. Yes.
Finish.
Oh, you beat me. 12 and 2 was my last one, 24. I only had 2 left. What was one of the pairs of numbers that you times together, Evie? Have a look and see if you've got some pairs that you used. So one of mine was 12 and 2. So
8 and 4.
8 and 4. And what did you get for that one? What was the answer to that one?
32.
32. Fantastic. Well done. Okay, so if we move on to have a look at how we might make that game a little bit harder or easier. So if you're playing at home, these are some of the things you could do. Try using lower numbers to make it easier, or you might have a pen and paper to work it out. You can move the targets closer if throwing it's a bit difficult. If you want a challenge, you could use more numbers that are bigger than 12, or you could move the targets a bit further away. Okay, so if we move on to some halftime questions. So we spoke about this a little bit earlier, Evie. What are some of the methods that we might use to work out these answers? One of them was that you might time something by 10 and take it away if it's 9, or add an extra 1 if it's 11. Do you use your hands for any workings out?
Sometimes, but most of the time I don't because I just know them. But most of the time I do use my hands to as well.
Good. Which times tables is really good for you to use with your hands?
Probably the 2s and the 5s.
Yeah. Also, 9s is a good trick you can use to work out 9s with your hands as well. Okay, right. Moving on to the second part of our activities today. So activity 2 is called the X factor. So we're going to be looking for factors of numbers. But first, we're going to have a look at what factors are. So in math, factors are numbers that multiply together to make another number. So if our number is 10, the factors of 10 are 1 and 10, because 1 times 10 equals 10. 2 and 5, because 2 times 5 equals 10. Okay, so 2 and 5 are a factor pair for 10. 1 and 10 are a factor pair for 10. And then 10's factors are 1, 2, 5, and 10. Okay, so in this next game, we'll have a look at how to play. So for this, you'll need exactly the same equipment. You'll need your pieces of paper. Okay, and all you need to do is, instead of putting them close together this time, you're going to spread them out in the area that you're going to play in. Okay, so make sure they're quite spread out and there's lots of gaps between them. If you're playing this outside or in the garden or anything, you could make this area really big. Okay, once your paper is all spread out, make sure that your paper's face down so you can't see the numbers, okay? And then moving on to look at how we play. So a number's going to appear on the next slide, and you're going to have to travel around and turn over one piece of paper at a time, and you're looking for factors of the number that is on the football shirt on the screen, okay? So for example, if number 10 comes up on the screen, the numbers you're looking for under your paper could be 1 or 10 or 2 or 5, okay? If you turn over your number and it's 1, then you're looking for 10, because those are the two numbers that go together to make 10, okay? If you find 5, then you'll be looking for 2. And we're going to keep playing and keep looking for those numbers until you find two numbers that go together, okay, to make that number. So we'll have a little practice go, Evie, okay? It won't be a race, but we'll just have a little practice. So on the next slide will be a number, and we've got to find the two numbers that go together. So which two numbers times together to make 14? Okay, let's go. See if we can do it. If it's not the right number, just put your piece of paper back down. Oh, I've got one. No. 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 Oh, yeah. I think I found 2. How many have you got, Evie? Have you got 1 so far?
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep looking for those numbers.
Found it.
Okay, so which numbers have you found?
2 and 7.
2 and 7, well done, or 7 and 2, doesn't matter which way around we do them in multiplication. Okay, so those two numbers are factors of 14 because they times together to make 14. Okay, so there's going to be another number that pops up now, so you can put your paper back, you can mix them up after each go so you don't know where they are. And we're looking for 12 this time. Okay, so off we go. Let's see if we can find it first. Oh, I've got one already. No. No. Oh, yeah, I think I've got him. You found him, Evie? Or are you still looking for one?
Found it.
Well done. Okay, so which two numbers have you got?
1 and 12.
1 and 12. Okay, I've got a different pair. So I've got 3 and 4. Okay, and there's also another one that you might have found in there as well. So it could be 1 and 12 like Evie got, 3 times 4, or there could even have been 2 times 6. Okay, so there's multiple factors for that one. Okay, we'll have one more go and then we'll make it a little bit more tricky and challenging. So mix your numbers up again so you don't know where they are. Okay, and we'll move on to the next slide and have a go at this one. 20. Okay, off we go. Oh, that was one. Oh. Oh, got one. So we'll see if Evie finds the same two that I've got or if there's any different ones. So the two I've found so far, 4 and 5. Okay, Evie, which two have you found?
10 and 2.
10 and 2, well done. So I've got a different one. I've got 4 times 5. Okay, both are right. Well done. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide, we'll have a look at how to make it a little bit more challenging. Okay, so try traveling in different ways to collect your items. Okay, so for this one, we'll have a go at sidestepping. Okay, so we'll have a go at sidestepping as we move around to find our next number. Okay, so those are some of the different ways. You could go jumping, hopping, hands and feet, or balancing. Okay, so we'll have a go at a few of those. Okay, so spread our numbers out, mix them round. And our next number is 15. Okay, off we go. There's only 2 numbers that can go together in here. No. 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 Oh, it's got to be that one. Okay, well done, Evie. Have you got 2 numbers?
Yeah.
Which ones did you find?
3 and 5.
3 and 5. Fantastic. Same as me. Those are the only 2 for that one because our numbers only got to 12. Okay, for this one, whatever item you were throwing, Evie,
Yep.
this time we'll have a go at balancing that as we go. So you can balance it on your hand for this round, okay? Or your shoulder. And try and keep that on as you crouch down and pick your numbers. So we'll mix our numbers up. Spread them out. Okay, I'm going to go balancing on my hand. And we're looking for 24 numbers that go together to make 24. No. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, found 2. Now there's more than one combination of numbers for this one. Evie, which 2 have you found?
8 and 3.
8 and 3. Now that's a tricky one. I've got 2 and 12. Or you could have had 4 and 6 as well for that one. Okay, this time we'll make it super tricky. Try and see if you can balance your item on your head. So when you bend down to collect your numbers, you have to be really careful to try and not let it fall off. If it falls off, put it back on your head and we can carry on. Okay, let's have a look at the next number. 30. Okay, off we go. Keeping nice and still, bending down. No. Oh, yeah, that's one. Oh, I think I've got it. Okay, let's have a look how we're getting on. Evie, which numbers did you find?
I haven't finished.
Oh, you've done well to still have it balanced on your head then. That's quite a tricky one to balance as well. So, 2 that I found were 3 and 10. Which ones did you get, Evie?
3 and 10.
3 and 10 as well. So we could have also had 5 and... Which number would go with 5, Evie, to make 30?
6.
Times 6. Well done. Fantastic. Okay, we've got one more. So we've got one last go. Okay, and you can choose what you want to do with your toy or beanbag, Evie, this time. If you want to balance it, you could try your shoulder. Okay, we'll mix our pieces of paper up again. Spread them all out. And our number this time is 18. Okay, off we go. Nope. Oh. No. Whoa. Whoa. I think I've found my 2. Okay, so the 2 I've got. Okay, Evie, have you got 2 yet?
No.
Not yet. Keep going then. Okay, so there's 2 different combinations of number for this one that we could find, okay? So I've got one. We'll see if Evie finds the same one. Okay, Evie, which 2 have you got?
2 and 9.
2 and 9, so the same as me. Could have also had 3 and 6 for that one as well. Okay, so if we move on to our next slide, we'll look at some extra time. So things you could do at home. Okay, so if you're playing at home, you could try playing this 1 against 1. You could take turns calling out a number, so like the ones that were on our football kit, and see how long it takes the other person to collect them. Then you could swap over. Okay, so be creative at home over half term. Think of ways that you can include maths in games you're doing at home with scoring and things like that. Okay, if we move on to the next slide. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our session today. Hopefully, if you've joined in at home, you've been able to recognise and calculate multiples of factors. Evie, you were good with your times tables today and finding factors, so well done.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who's watched at home. Make sure you check out Shrewsbury Town and the Community's Facebook page for lots of different content coming up. Thank you, Evie, for joining in today. Hope you had fun.
Thank you.
Okay, make sure you stay safe at home and have a good half term, everybody. Bye, Evie.
Bye.